The following is an audiobook teaser of Dmitri Brooksfield's The Tenets of Dmitrism, published via Liberty Under Attack Publications. To order the paperback, visit libertyunderattack.com/Dmitri. For the full audiobook, visit libertyunderattack.com/Dmitri Audio.
The Tenets of Dmitrism by Dmitri Brooksfield. Liberty Under Attack Publications. This work is covered by a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial license. This license allows others to remix, adapt, and build upon this work non-commercially. First tenet: ideological purity. Mentis puritas super omnia. The first of Dmitrism's main tenets is one of purity, that being of ideology. The Dmitrist remains pure in ideological conviction and resists being swayed by the inferior pseudo-caste of ideologies which have proven themselves the enemy of the Dmitrist. Statism, be it fascism, communism, or modern liberalism, being the chief example of impurities which must be debated and refuted at all chances. Statism, be it fascism, communism, or modern liberalism, being the chief examples of impurities which must be debated and refuted at all chances, wherever it crops up. This is just a taste of the many enemies of the Dmitrist and his fellow libertarian allies. The Dmitrist must prove himself a one-man vanguard against ideological heresies at all times, and be willing to debate them peacefully to starve them of nearby converts when possible, and destroy them if they dare to come in the form of the initiation of force towards the peaceful and pacifist. The Dmitrist destroys these violent foes with a righteous fire in his heart and a bayonet on his rifle, as the Dmitrist must dislike the statist by nature and must wish to destroy the statist who brings death and violence to his and his neighbor's door. To bring aggression against the peaceful and innocent is dishonorable and proof of one's impure ideology or ideological consistency. The statist is not evil by nature. Only when he turns to force and aggression does he become the evil the Dmitrist must destroy. The Dmitrist prefers non-violent means to erase inferior ideologies, and thus must hone his debate and refutation skills, educate himself with all he can on both his own arguments and the arguments his opponent will bring forth in all likelihood. The Dmitrist must not fear reading the works and theories of other ideologies. He must know all he can to bring those of inferior ideologies into the fold, born anew into libertarianism. To tolerate these inferiors and not be tormented or swayed by them is proof of the ideological consistency, purity, and superiority of libertarianism and Dmitrism itself. It bears repeating, the only time inferior systems of thought are intolerable is when aggression is involved. If a man of another ideology commits a criminal act, he is not to be tolerated and must be dealt with swiftly and justly in accordance with the libertarian principle of proportionality to obtain a proper counterfactual and to right past wrongs. The Dmitrist also understands that other libertarian creeds are similar to his, but with varying degrees of degeneracy, such as the Georgists and the Objectivists, who both believe in minarchism. But the Dmitrist knows still that they are at least libertarian in nature and will follow the NAP to its logical conclusion, if not by themselves, then by experience. Second tenet: labor. Qui multum laborat, bene menducat. The Dmitrist knows that hard work makes a man healthy, makes a man happy, and makes a man proud of his accomplishments. While idly passing time and leisure is fine as well, working in the fields or factories are not only industrious and productive, they also provide for the Dmitrist a sense of self that is hard to obtain. The Dmitrist senses that he is part of a machine of industry, making products and food for the society he lives in, helping to ensure that the hungry are fed and the clothless become clothed. He's a proud man, a working man, a member of the libertarian proletariat, taking up a small but important role in his society, for not only his own gain, with payment, but the gain of those who want the works he helped produce. In this, the Dmitrist enshrines himself as a pillar of the workforce and stands alongside his peers in industrious unity. The statists do not understand the meaning of hard work, for they prefer to shrug off such things, instead choosing a desk or a camera over the hands-on and laborious tasks the Dmitrist willingly and joyfully takes into his own hands. They cannot understand the united struggle all Dmitrists and libertarians partake in to better not just themselves, but also the society as a whole. The libertarian proletariat is not the only kind of worker, however, for there are many facets to a society. The entrepreneurs, those in teamster occupations, retail and fast food, the savvy investor, and the construction worker are all united hand in hand to make the society prosper and grow. Never mock them, never insult your fellow libertarian for the job he keeps, for he is contributing just as you are. Instead, be grateful for his productivity, his willingness to keep the engines of industry running in his own way. And if the statist wishes to join this front to help contribute after years of slothfulness, let him, so that he may prove himself worthy of being considered part of the libertarian proletariat front and learn as the Dmitrist has learned, namely, that hard work is happy work, that hard work is proud work, and most of all, hard work is honest work. The Dmitrist must learn to plant foods, to grow them, to harvest them, and to sell them. He must learn the ways of the green thumb and be self-sufficient in times of hardship and hunger, to be able to survive and thrive when the going gets tough. He must know these things to feed himself and his family, his neighbors and peers, to make a surplus where there is a shortage, and to invest his profits methodically and intelligently wherever possible. Third tenet, militarism. Ense petit placidum sub liberate quietum. The Dmitrist must foster a society ready to both defend itself and its people, as well as prepare for the liberation of the oppressed Dmitrists and libertarians around the world. The Dmitrist knows that his comrades are counting on him to bear the rifle and the saber alongside them in the trenches or on the beaches. Dmitrism cannot be protected solely by words alone. It must be guarded by a mighty pen, yes, but also a shield and a sword and a spear. The good Dmitrist teaches his peers to defend themselves if they are uneducated, and teaches them to fight from the bushes as a guerrilla rather than the statist soldier who uses inferior conventional tactics reserved for the imperialist armies. The Dmitrist learns from a young age to fire a rifle, a pistol, and a mortar, and takes these teachings to heart. He learns bushcraft, fortification, weapon assembly and disassembly, cleaning and maintenance, and to hunt and forage for food as to survive in the harshness of the war theater. A good Dmitrist uses his knowledge and passes these skills down to his posterity when he can, and at a steady pace. With these skills, he will become a member of a society of warriors and militants ready at a minute's notice to defend said society. The Dmitrists of a libertarian society should set up volunteer corps, so that every man who wishes to liberate the libertarian globally may do so on his own volition. They should coordinate to spread propaganda around the world in times of peace, and use force in times of liberation to defend the innocent and the victimized. A time of liberation is when the Dmitrist is joined by other libertarians to put an end to evil deeds wherever and whenever they arise, be it genocide, mass purges, or mass incarceration of the innocent. The Dmitrists will fight to defend those who are victims of oppression and liberate said victims so that they may govern themselves. The Dmitrists will also do all they can to spread the good word of Dmitrism in every land they liberate through propaganda, debate, and fiery orations. It is important to always remember the golden rule of libertarianism in times of necessary violence. The Dmitrist never harms the innocent himself and will do all he can to protect them if they are in harm's way. This way, the Dmitrist is a savior, a beacon of liberty in a world gone mad and bleak. He will provide aid to those who are injured and alms to the hungry, sick, and the cold. The Dmitrist, in essence, is the libertarian man, and a representative of libertarianism everywhere it spreads. The man of the future, today. Fourth tenet, industrial agrarianism. Planta una manu, altera edifica. The society of Dmitrism must be one of two parts. One part is agricultural and the other is industrial, and both are necessary for society to prosper. The inferior ideologies of the past have chosen one over the other to bring prosperity to their lands, but have found only death and want instead. The Dmitrist society should have private farms and ranches in the fertile lands within the boundaries of the society claims, and in the non-fertile areas there should be private factories, mills, and all manner of production. The ocean sides, if any are present, should be home to fisheries and hatcheries so as to further increase food production. It should also be noted that this can only be done in the libertarian manner, that being in accordance to the principle of private property, and no coercion may be permitted to do this. The Dmitrist is above command economics and the inferior creeds of the statist vampire economies of the past. The good Dmitrist understands that in all things perfection is impossible. This includes a laissez-faire market economy, but he makes do with what is available to him and his comrades, and within the parameters allowed by the principles that guide him. A factory or two within a fertile valley or a farm on the roof of an inner-city house is but a trivial matter that is not of importance in the long run. The Dmitrist is more concerned with having adequate amounts of both locally consumed food and cash profit exports of goods, as these aid in the growth of society and are far more attention-focused. The good Dmitrist factory worker works hard to make shoes for local consumption and for export, so he might be paid for his labor. The Dmitrist farmer works hard to grow food for his family and to sell to his village or to a factory for canning for further export. The CEO works hard to increase his company's profits and the efficiency of his workers, while the rancher works hard to care for and protect his herd so as to produce meat and milk and cheeses. The free market is how the libertarian thrives, and the Dmitrist knows and adopts this, as he knows it to be self-evident upon seeing it in action. The invisible hand of the market operates continuously and without a guiding central plan, and over time society benefits from such anarchy of industry and agriculture. The Dmitrist protects this always through his hard labor and good output, and never through intervention in the market through force or coercion. For, as said before, that is the way of the statist, and the statist has shown himself to be folly in many ways, this being one of them. The only fair is laissez-faire, always and forever. Fifth tenet, the new propaganda, bellum verbis, bellum animus. The inferior philosophies that surround us are always trying to win over converts through lies, deception, and trickery. The Dmitrist is not swayed by these foolish attempts at opinion molding. Instead, he harnesses his might and principled worldview to stave off these hideous lies. He uses this power to create a new form of propaganda, one which uses bits and pieces of the old and inferior forms, and melding it to a new way of enticing people to join Dmitrism and libertarianism. This new propaganda uses facts, logic, and observable conditions to sway opinion in the direction of the Dmitrist, while also using pleasant and eye-drawing aesthetics. The Dmitrist propaganda should be principled, using slogans and data that support its causes and ideals. It should be clear and easy to understand. Posters, billboards, songs, slogans, and flags all are viable options for the Dmitrist to spread his message. The use of pamphlets and flyers are always acceptable for this task. The giving of this very manifesto from which you read now to another, or the passing out of copies furthers the goal of Dmitrism, as what better way to spread it than letting others read the tenets for themselves? The aesthetics of Dmitrism should be used in this propaganda to help viewers easily identify Dmitrism as the movement grows. The symbol of Dmitrism, the eye of vigilance within the sun sporting an iris in the shape of an anarchist A, is a proud symbol, and can easily stand out in the most obscure of places wherever it may be found. The Dmitrist wears the symbol with honor, as if it were a badge representing the way forward, a future for all mankind and all libertarians. The propaganda of the Dmitrist should be placed wherever possible within reason. He must make sure to never violate the property rights of others to do this, for that is unprincipled. Always respect the property rights of other men, even if those men are of inferior ideology. After all, you are trying to bring others into the fold, not scare them away with unwarranted hostilities. The colors of libertarianism and Dmitrism, gold and black, should be used often and used to ingrain within all who see them the thought of libertarianism and Dmitrism. Dmitrists are individuals, so choosing a style of art for visual propaganda is up to them on their own opinions. But borrowing from older and inferior ideologies such as communism, jingoism, and republicanism would serve the Dmitrist well in the long run. Not only are these styles attention-grabbing, they also can be used to convey messages with a powerful visual aid. Sixth tenet. Health of the Dmitrist. Cure, salire, scalde, pugna, cognita. The Dmitrist prides himself on being able to do labor and works hard whenever and wherever possible to increase his stamina, strength, and internal health. Dmitrism is an ideology of work and militancy, and as such requires the Dmitrist to work on himself as soon as possible, to become strong and brave and healthy in multiple ways. The Dmitrist may do physical exercise such as running, rock climbing, weights, yoga, sit-ups, and push-ups to increase his fitness of the body, and he may also refuse to do drugs, alcohol, or smoke to prevent harming his innards. The Dmitrist might read books, write papers and essays, watch documentaries in his free time, and digest the information within them to increase his mental health and knowledge. He may even do meditation to clear his thoughts from time to time. All of these and many more are ways the Dmitrist may begin and continue to increase his health and further help the cause by becoming the libertarian man over time. The libertarian man is the peak of the libertarian pride. He has become a strong, capable, and industrious fellow, ready to do the hard labor, prepared to defend his family and homeland, and has a wit and intelligence to dismantle any inferior ideology who crosses him in the debate hall. The Dmitrist knows he cannot obtain perfection in all these things, but nonetheless does all he can to achieve as much as he can, to be the best he can be. There is no higher honor than that which you bestow on yourself. The words, "I succeeded." The Dmitrist does all he can to boost the charisma and morale of his fellow libertarians, pushing them forward with a strong resolve. He willingly aids the weaker Dmitrists and libertarians to become healthier, to bring them up to his level, and welcome him not only as a brother, but as a fellow of good health, both in body and mind. In a Dmitrist society, gymnasiums would prove useful ventures for entrepreneurs, as would libraries, for the thirst for gains and knowledge will inevitably be in high demand by the Dmitrist and the libertarian alike.
You've just heard an audiobook teaser of Dmitri Brooksfield's The Tenets of Dmitrism, published via Liberty Under Attack Publications. To order the paperback, visit libertyunderattack.com/Dmitri. For the full audiobook, visit libertyunderattack.com/Dmitri Audio. Finally, for our full catalog of books, bundles, privacy tools, and more, please visit libertyunderattack.com. Liberty Under Attack Publications, share your story, find your freedom.